Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special event. We are super excited to be joined by the voice behind one of the most iconic characters in gaming history. Before we get to the man, the legend below, my name is Michael Zytkow. I am the founder and executive director of Potions and Pixels. We're a nonprofit organization based here in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina, that focuses on utilizing games to create social impact. We encourage everybody to check out our website at potionsandpixels.com and follow the work we do. And I am super excited to be joined by Johnny Barrio over here. Johnny, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hey y'all, Jonathan Barrio here. I am the director of the Charlotte Gamers Network. We are North Carolina's largest LGBTQ plus gaming organization. We're so thrilled to be here with David Bateson today, and thank you, Michael, for that great intro.
Absolutely. And as Johnny said, we are joined by the legend himself, David Bateson. David, we always have a tradition here is that we clap it up wherever we are. If somebody's watching across the world, we know you're in Denmark, we're here in the States. And at this time, it's noon, so we think there's a lot of people who are secretly watching at work right now. So wherever they are, whether at home or at work, we hope people can clap it up, whether loudly or silently, and
Oh, yeah.
welcome you.
I can
Right
hear
here.
it from
You can hear it. Across the
I
ocean,
can
you
hear
can
it.
hear it.
Yeah.
David, we are super excited.
My pleasure.
I don't really know if we need to introduce you. So many people, when we were talking about this event, immediately were super excited. As I said, you have played, you've been the voice and the
Yeah.
visual appearance of Agent 47 from the Hitman series for since 2000.
Yeah.
It's incredibly exciting to have you. You, of course, are a voice actor and actor, and I was excited. Your Wikipedia page said comedian, which I saw some great videos online that
Oh,
proved that
no.
that was absolutely the case. So I wanted to say one thing. I know I mentioned this to you
Yeah.
before we went live, but when I was 14 years old, I first played Hitman on a PC Gamer demo disc. This was the first Hitman that was PC exclusive, if folks remember that far
Yeah,
back in
well,
2000. And I was just blown away. I had played stealth games before. There was, Metal Gear Solid, Thief, The Dark Project, so many things. But
yeah.
Hitman was one of the first to make you really feel like a hitman and have that full experience. And you've been part of the franchise since day one. And other folks at IO Interactive, they've changed and rotated different staff. I wonder if you could share with us a bit about the history of how you got involved into the Hitman franchise.
Yeah, this I this thing called serendipity, and I sometimes think, uh, life is so difficult.
Mm,
As in all round, and as an actor, it's so tough getting work and stuff, which it is. And then suddenly I find myself in a corner of Europe, which was not on my bucket list.
mm,
Um, and I'm in a studio doing a voiceover, and someone just walks in and says, "Hey, David, when you're finished, would you come next door and have a look at this new game we're doing the graphics on? And we're looking for a voice to play the lead."
it's
And
amazing.
you're going, I'd love to have said, "Well, it was me and 3,000 other people, and we had to fight to the death in the Colosseum." But obviously it was still an audition.
Yeah.
If they didn't like what they heard, I wouldn't have got it. But that, and since then I've kind of wound back sometimes and thought, how did I get to that place? Which is
Yeah.
a whole conversation. But yeah, I was being in the right place at the right time from day
You
one.
know, that's so interesting to me because not only are you the voice, but you're also the character model for Agent
Yeah,
47. And what's so mind-blowing to me is that Hitman has not is not only a movie but has a game but has generated two movies now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Most recent one featuring Timothy Oliphant, and it's remarkable because your portrayal of this contract hitman has now I think created in American culture what a hitman is. I mean, I think in our culture, really, the only other great, you know, character portrayal of a hitman, I think, is Leon in the movie The Professional.
Mm,
And
yeah.
in those times, that was what we thought as America, like that's what a hitman, that's what a contract killer is and looks like.
Yeah. I
And
love that film, by the way.
yeah.
oh, such a great
Jean
movie.
Reno. Oh, he
And
cool.
Yeah, just killed it. And with your portrayal, I mean, spawning these movies and becoming one of the most iconic video game voice actors and characters, the only other voice actor that I can think of that comes anywhere near, the ability to portray a character like you have is probably David Hayter and his portrayal of Solid Snake in the Metal Gear series. I mean, those are the two most iconic characters I can think of in gaming that are so recognizable and are based off of real portrayals of their actors.
That's very interesting because he is absolutely identified with the character of Snake.
Yeah.
And rightly so. But you're kind of going, wow, yeah, chicken or the egg, which came first,
And that's the other thing too, is that, talking about, IO Interactive has been, and I would love to hear your experience, but from what we see as consumers, I mean, IO Interactive has stood by you throughout, I mean, for decades now. And I remember when
with one brief exception, maybe
with one yeah,
maybe I wasn't sure if we were going to go into that because I was worried that you've answered that question so many times, but maybe we'll save that for later.
Story.
Yeah.
But I remember when the most recent Metal Gear game came out and they replaced David Hayter with Kiefer Sutherland, and that was just a huge controversy in the game industry. So I'd love to hear, kind of what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah, I'd played it for 11 years at that point, and there'd been a long break up to Absolution.
Yeah.
When Absolution came out, from Blood Money to Absolution, it was 6 years. And that's a long time. It was so long that the engine was outdated and they had to kind of rebuild a whole new platform. And purely by, I have no ownership over this character. They're entitled to go and do whatever they like, IO Interactive. But because we have such a good rapport and a good relationship, I thought at least they would let me know. And the first thing I found out was on a Sunday they were coming back from E3 in LA.
Yeah.
And suddenly my phone just melted. It just had a heart attack. And it went on for like nearly a day. This is the truth. I didn't know how to turn the stuff off.
Yeah.
I was such an idiot. So it was just buzzing. Okay, what is going on? And the short story is that they'd replaced me with Tom Cruise's cousin, and they'd flighted a trailer or a teaser at the E3, and they normally don't even use Agent 47's voice at those things. It tends to be a kind of a trailer voice, he's a legend. No one knows what he looks like and all this stuff. But suddenly they went, "Hello, it's me, Agent 47," and everyone, the fans who saw that went, "What the fuck?" And that started this little kind of war thing. But then when they went mad and sort of got a petition going, and bless the fans for not, they stuck, they did it. They did what they said they were going to do. They weren't going to pre-order. So when the pre-orders came out in February the following year, they didn't order for February, March, April. And in May, I got a very nervous phone call from IO Interactive going, "Hi, Dave." I'm going, I thought you were dead. Would you be willing to work with us again? And I went, "Yeah, of course."
Yeah.
Thinking it was another job. And then we arranged to meet off-site, which I thought was a bit weird.
Can I ask you real quick? I know you've said that in previous interviews that you thought it was another job, and that's how they presented.
Yeah,
did you truly, in your heart, think it was another job, or did you think that there was a possibility? Okay.
No.
Okay. You really thought that was the point where it was the end of your time with Hitman and potentially moving on to something else?
And I'd got over it by then.
Really? Okay.
I mean, I was disappointed in them, but as I said, they're entitled to do whatever they want. But so they're good people. Yeah. So when they say, "Hey, Dave, we have another, franchise. Would you?" Yeah, I actually believed them when they said that. So yeah, they lied.
Was this the start of World of Assassination?
No,
Absolution, right?
it was Absolution,
Yeah.
which was the kind of the closest we got to Leon, back to Jean Reno's Leon, because it had that element of, you know, he's got to look after this 15-year-old girl called Victoria.
Yeah.
And I loved the script on that because it suddenly he had to do human things, which he had no information in this area. You know, I don't know what to do with this girl. I just kill people.
Yeah.
and I liked that. It had a real, for me as an actor, had a charm element. Nice bit of acting. But in gaming, it got criticized because of the sandbox, because it was so story driven. It wasn't as broad as Blood Money.
Yeah, I don't know if you got a chance before, David, to see the no clip documentary about IO Interactive. It's available on YouTube.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. And one of the things that fascinated me about it, and as a longtime fan of the franchise, I wasn't actually aware until I watched that no one who had worked on the original Hitman, outside of yourself, from my understanding, none of the programmers, developers actually stayed throughout the franchise. They had a lot of turnover. There was different people that were in IO. So you have been the thread, I guess, of sorts that has kind of been consistent throughout the entire project. And so I can't really imagine a Hitman without you being a part of it. And so that must have been a roller coaster kind of feeling, and certainly affirming that the fans felt so strongly that they wouldn't even play the game without you being a part of it.
Yeah, and you know, because the fans are, I'm sure they are with any, you know, game which the fans and players are really dedicated. But the Hitman fans, because you have to go, you kind of have to go through fire to enjoy Hitman. You know, the bar was set really high, so you have to put in your hours right from the get-go. So it felt like for them to say, "Listen, we're not going to pre-order. Screw you." That was a kind of a heavy price to pay, and I bless them for that, because you know, they probably would have just carried on. And back to the Hitman, the IO Interactive people, I read just yesterday that you know, because they're going crazy now with the 007 franchise, that they're hiring their socks off. But there's 34 different nationalities in this building of 200 programmers, and
It's amazing.
You know, I'm just chuffed that when I go to IO Interactive, there's a slight feeling of, I can feel people looking at me, and I'm going, "Hey, I've just come to eat lunch." You know?
They're wondering if you're planning a hit.
Well, there's a kind of, he's in the house, you know.
Yeah.
But I really love those people. They're so good.
Yeah.
They really. Oh man, I'm gonna miss the break at least. If
you know, something that you'd mentioned earlier, David, that I wanted to expound upon just a little bit more was that you were mentioning the storyline of Absolution. And I think something that completely blew everybody away was the World of Assassination trilogy, and how the story in Hitman and the remake in Hitman 1, the first part of that trilogy, you know, had to be put together a little bit, but 2 and 3 were just mind-blowingly incredible. With the story of yourself and Diana Burnwood, and
especially when taken all into account as a trilogy. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with the writers over this the trilogy, because I thought it was fantastic. They were telling, you know, the story not in one game, but they was telling the whole story with a story arc in over 3 games. And I asked them, said, "Wow, I just want to be in the room when you guys are thinking how you're gonna do this, how you're gonna reveal it." And you know, I'd get the scripts and be going, "Oh, am I alive at the end? Oh, no, you'll have to wait to Hitman 2. Oh, bugger," you know.
That's a great note for us, though, as far as the scripts. You were receiving them kind of, so the mystery was there for you as well. You didn't actually know exactly too far along what the gamers were going to realize either.
I knew but the third one, because I got the whole script. Normally, for many years, I would only get my lines, and then I would they would brief me about the scene, what's happened just before.
Yeah.
And they said, do you want to know what happens afterwards? And I'd always go, no, I don't, because that's not real life.
Yeah.
I really don't, because then it might make me telegraph what's going to happen next in the way I say a line. So I said, I never want to know what comes next. Just need to know what's coming before.
That's a great point. I'd love to talk about that a little bit more, about the voice acting process, because I watched interviews with you and some of the other voice actors in the franchise, and I'd like to think, as a fan of gaming and animation and everything, that I understand a bit about what's going on behind the scenes. But it's truly remarkable that when you're recording your voice, you are you're not in the same room as the other voice actors, and to see you having these in the game, that it seems like a seamless conversation going back and forth, that you're playing off of each other in such an amazing way. Can you pull back the curtain for us? How long is the recording process? How much time are you putting into it? How are you able to deliver? Is there somebody who's around you to help you in that way?
It's essentially a pretty lonely experience. All the other actors are either recording out of LA or London, and they tend to, as I understand it, they have the other actors have mainly done their work, and I come along and ruin it all at the end. But in some of the interviews I've done earlier this year, where we've had Zoom meetings like this with some of the other lead actors, like Diana Byrne, Jane Perry, and then Phil Roach and John. They were all recording out of London, so they get to hang out and have coffee together.
Yeah.
So, and I said, Jane, I feel like I really know you.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were Canadian. She's going, oh, yes, you did. I said, no, I didn't. I occasionally I would hear her lines, very occasionally, and same for her. But that there's a guy, Mark Esdale, good friend of mine. He runs a studio in London called Oh, God, it's going to be embarrassing now. Anyway, he directs computer games and has developed a system whereby it's more interactive, where, as he put it, since the invention of the microphone, nothing has happened. It's still the case, for 100 years now. It's an actor standing in front of a metal thing and trying not to make the pages be heard, and and just it's all in your head. And this guy, Mark Estel, OMU2 is the name of his company. He developed an interactive way, which was hands-free, with a kind of GoPro thing, helmet, no cables, and 3 screens, one with your lines in the middle, one with your avatar, so you can see if I'm a blue orc or whatever.
Yeah.
Then that's what I look like. Oh, really? And on the left screen was the situation. If it was a cafe, and all that. So that's what this business needs to get up to speed with, his kind of setup. And it's still a very lonely experience. So you really do have to kind of use your imagination. The advantage for me is that I've been doing it for 20 years, and the writers and I really know each other well. So there's a kind of a shorthand. We almost kind of finish each other's sentences off.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier. But I would love. I've done a film with Alan Rickman. We played, obviously, we're a buddy movie all the way through. I never met him. We're both voicing a cartoon film.
Yeah.
And this.
You'd think there would be like a wrap-up party or something to get you all together in that way.
There was planned this year on the 12th of January, and Jane was going to fly over and whoop it up big time with IO Interactive, and we would have been dancing. But no, COVID knocked all that on the head, and no party, no nothing. So
yeah.
Hey, David, if I can ask you, with how you record your lines and all that, I think what's interesting too is that in Hitman, there really isn't, you're a contract hitman, so there really isn't a lot of emotion behind your voice and all of that.
Yeah.
Do you find that easier because you're not having to play delay back and forth? Like you're giving like a stone cold voice all the
Yeah.
time, and there's never an emotion in any cutscene or anything like that. Is that easier, harder, or how does that process?
No, yeah, here's the thing. I think it's a lot harder. Because when, right from the first game that you played, which was only on PCs, was that, Codename 47, the silent assassin. You think, okay, there's the clue. He doesn't say much. Oh, damn. This is, and then with all his background and that he's sort of this man-made killer, with no backstory because he has no memory, I thought, wow, this is going to be tough. This is going to be, it mustn't sound boring.
Yeah.
So I kind of, in my own head, I made a kind of a backstory to myself in the sense that I thought I treated it like Frankenstein's monster. That somewhere in the back recesses of his mind, he wanted to know who created him, and he wanted to know what human feelings were, and why he doesn't feel, fear or empathy. And I wanted him to have some. Didn't want to make him sentimental. I would have been, stopped from doing that. But yeah, I had to kind of invent something in my head. Otherwise, the lines would have just been too dull and monotone. I wanted to feel that he had some kind of resonance of a backstory that made his lines sound a bit haunting and slightly sad, or and that they seemed to let me do that, and then the dark humor started to creep in.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
It's really interesting that you mentioned the haunting of the line, because when you hear Agent 47 speak, I mean, it just sends chills down your spine.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you workshop like several different voices for Agent 47? How did you come
My exact question, Johnny. I love it. We're on the same page. My exact question.
Johnny beat you to it. Johnny beat you to it.
Yep, I love it. I love it.
No, yeah, no, I've learned when you're doing a voiceover, even if it's a corporate thing, whatever, the moment you go into stand in front of the microphone, you have got to make a decision. You cannot please everyone. And if you try, it'll just come across as weak and indecisive. You just have to make a decision. This is how he's going to sound. Then they will stop you or correct you or give you, some advice from that standpoint. And mine simply was looking at the back to 21,000 years ago. When I went in to have a look next door after that voiceover, and I looked at the screen and saw these cut sequences from Hong Kong, and it was very black and white and shadowy and very Japanese in its feel, and Blade Runner, big time Blade Runnery in its look. I thought of Philip Marlowe.
Yeah,
it just had a kind of throwback to trilbies and raincoats and like Blade Runner,
Sam Spade, all that good stuff. Yeah,
totally. So I just used that as my hook, and I have no idea if they were aware of that. I've actually never asked them. There's no one there now to ask from the original people, but and I just took that as my approach. It's tough, and and the sentences are really short and monosyllabic back in the day, and I thought I'll commit to that approach, and with very little comeback or criticism of that, they let me go with that. They seem to go, yeah, that's probably, that'll sound good. And obviously there's this thing which I apologize. It's just the sound of my voice, where people go, oh, you got this. Oh man. Okay. Sorry. It's just, yeah, it's what I've got. Thank you very much.
You say that, but what's interesting is you're a South African-born English actor who lives in Denmark, who's experienced probably so many ranges of different accents, and in your work you've performed different accents yourself. How, landing on this seems very, a very unique choice.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've moved around too much. Or no, I haven't, because it's led me to where I am now. Yeah. But there is an element. The other thing I hadn't mentioned was that I felt an affinity with this character, the sense of not belonging or not being rooted, because I moved around so much, 9 schools in 12 years in 2 countries. So, sometimes I thought, are my folks wanted by the police? We move
Is
once
a
a year.
hitman chasing them across the world?
Hitman?
Yeah.
What's going on? So we moved all the time,
Yeah.
If she's not in the military, what's going on? And so that kind of lack of an identity, as this is my hometown, this is my home, and these are my friends. No, that all changed every year to 18 months, basically, until the last school, which lasted 4 years. But I still managed to move 3 times then. So that has now become obviously my advantage, that I do a lot of accents, because you just you observe and you hear everything. But here's the thing, I don't know if this doesn't happen in the States. When I'm in America, no one asks me, hey, where are you from? America is a country of immigrants, all of you. There's a kind of a huge sweep and acceptance of it. When I go back to Britain, I swear I can walk into a bank or a bus queue, or something, and if I open my mouth, there's some complete stranger takes it upon themselves going, excuse me, mate, where are you from? I'm going, none of your bloody business.
You should ask. Do you ever say, do you know who I am, and just jump into the Hitman voice, Agent 47 voice?
Check out my,
Yeah, exactly.
Just respond in the Hitman voice.
Make it run, But it's because it confused Brits. It's a small country, but all these local dialects, you can tell where people come from 40 miles away. Where it's a completely different dialect. You're going, what? So that really upsets them. Oh, they get kind of really, where do you come from? I come from Mars. But in the rest of the world, it doesn't seem to trouble anyone. So that international English and ability to glide around in different accents, that's where I feel at home. It did occasionally gets me into dark places. I was shooting a feature film in Scotland, and I had a voice coach who taught me a good Glaswegian accent, playing a really horrible character. And I decided to stay in character for the whole week.
Oh, wow.
I did a Daniel Day-Lewis, stay in character. And I thought, because I was so worried about the Scottish accent, and I was the only non-Scot, apart from the couple of leads, Emily Watson, Jean-Marc Barr, and Stellan Skarsgård. But all the other actors I was working with were Scottish, and so it backfired. In this tiny little village, I couldn't get away and just kind of, order something, a sandwich in a coffee shop, and going, hello, they're going, are you that Scottish? Oh shit! So, that nearly went bad because you have a few drinks of a night. We were shooting on nights, and when you've had a few single malts, and then suddenly Scottish actors around you who've been, cursing English-speaking people, they get very, very Scottish,
Yeah.
Fucking son accent. I hate the bloody English. And again, these actors had just come off working on Braveheart and Rob Roy, so they were feeling, it's great, standing there with an axe in my hand, chopping those English soldiers. Okay, that was a film, everyone.
Exactly.
But we were all getting drunk, enjoying single malts, and then suddenly they do a what do you call it? A Joe Pesci on you, and they just turn at you and go, "Where exactly are you from?" And you go, "Oh my God, this is not going to end well."
David, you mentioned something earlier too, and I'm really happy you brought it up. And you mentioned the dark humor of the Hitman series. When did that change happen? Because I feel like IO Interactive is now really intentional about adding in all these very dark, humoristic, not only items, but kills and storylines, especially with the mission stories that we saw in the World of Assassination. Where did that come from? Because that totally is a far cry from Codename 47
Yeah.
and on.
Now, it's a very good question. I can't prove this, but I'm willing to bet my salary on it that that's because of me. No, I'm not taking
Really?
massive amount of credit. The writers are ridiculously talented. Really, they are. But I've got to, because trust me, the humor was not there in the first two games, I would say. But I was there, and so and it was along the lines of, I don't want to make this character trivial. And how can I get some kind of I want to make the player kind of lean in, and they will, to maintain that interest, you have to, as I said earlier, fabricate some kind of emotional hook. And in his case, it was a non-emotional hook, but some kind of that haunting thing about his creation and how the world is put together. And then suddenly, in these bizarre, darkest places where people are dying at his hands, there was a chance, I thought, just to kind of give a sentence a slightly different slant, a slightly unexpected, like he was, almost looking at it with, totally, oh, that's what blood looks like, kind of feel to it. And I think slowly, either the fans picked up on it and maybe have mentioned it, or the writers, when they sat down going, hey, maybe David can maybe, I could hear David saying this line, it's what came first. If I was put to the crunch, as I say, I think it was me, because I didn't want it to sound just boring, flat, and any more monosyllabic than it already was. But the character needs to be real. You need to care about him,
Yeah.
That's gotta so I get a feeling that humor grew out of my personality.
That's really interesting, because I mean, in so many ways, what we're hearing from you and what we've experienced is the connection between you and Agent 47 runs really deep, more so than I think traditional voice acting work, where oftentimes you're portraying a character that you don't necessarily look like or sound like, or it's just kind of an entirely different experience. And to say that the humor that you embody as well has been able to be kind of transported into Agent 47. I'm curious about that likeness piece as well. Did they transform, like when you first got a hold of the original game and you saw it? How did they mold it a bit more?
Because I mean, they were well into the graphics when I was having a look at those cut scenes from Hong Kong, and he was bald, and bald and buffed, but looking so good in a suit. So I didn't have anything to do with that, although this was my hairstyle way back then.
Yeah,
but he. But I think on the third game, or was it Blood Money? Can't remember now. But it was a long time ago. It's when we moved into this other offices down by the water. They then put a helmet on me and sort of GoPro'd my face, and then scanned that in to the computer. And I. But beyond that, I believe they were already slightly, adapting the facial look. But now, when I look at some of his reactions with the eyes and his mouth, I go, oh my goodness, that really is me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy. It's really interesting too, talking about likeness and seeing how IO Interactive truly gives you the freedom to really influence the creative process. What's so crazy to me, and going back to humor just for 1 second, you mentioned these lines, and it also wasn't like, what I really appreciate about the series was that it wasn't, from the serious nature of the first two games to an all-out comedy fest and Blood Money or Absolution, But in the World of Assassination trilogy, I gotta say, David, there are some lines that Agent 47 says that you just have to pause the game because you're laughing so
Yeah.
hard. You know,
Oh, really?
and
Oh,
I'll never
cool.
forget
Oh, that's cool.
one of
See,
the most.
I think that works,
Oh yeah.
but here's the thing. I think it works better now over the years
Mhm.
if a player has been attached to the franchise for a long time. So they've kind of got to know this guy and also kind of got to like him.
Yeah.
So and it was only in the Hitman trilogy, the World of Assassination trilogy, where they had it went up a big notch,
Mhm.
where and I was dead against it. We did Hitman 1 in Paris and Sapienza, and I noticed more lines were coming in.
I heard you talk about this. It's interesting.
Yeah, and then they really wanted to say, no, go with us on this. We want the player to feel more attached to the scene. So we, when he's in disguise, we'll put all these extra lines in. And I was dead against it, but it genuinely works. I will say this, which I thought was funny. In backstage at the fashion show in Paris, which I have mentioned this before, but it was a real moment where I am Agent 47. I know this guy. And in character, I was suddenly confronted by a pretty flamboyant sort of makeup artist backstage at this Paris fashion show. And in character, I said the lines kind of, but I have no information in this area, how to deal with this person. And it was so cool. And I went, okay, that's real acting. That I wasn't putting that on. That I was Agent 47 going, when this guy, is just sort of, are you one of the
That's
models?
awesome.
No,
Well, and it's not only that too, David. And what I really appreciated about Hitman 2 was the Willow Creek level where you're in the neighborhood. And what blew my mind, the Willow Creek neighborhood area where you have to assassinate Magnus. There is a mission story in there. And I actually used to be real estate in Miami. And when you disguise yourself as a real estate agent and you take your target on a tour, it is the most hysterical, because you talk about, and here's the kitchen, and what a great place for a gas stove to be, and it's every quip is about killing your target without them realizing it.
That sequence got me nominated 2 Novembers ago for the American Voice Arts Awards, because I just thought it was so funny. That he couldn't describe it any other way. The slippery floor, better watch out. He's thinking blood. That'll be a bitch to clean up, or keep your feet stable when you're garroting someone. And all those elements. They've done it in the last game with the wine selection stuff, but it doesn't quite have the same irony. I'm just basically a wine connoisseur, but that double stuff was them going to town on the double entendre meaning, So
how often do you find yourself in the Agent 47 mindset? I guess I'm just wondering if there's situations in life where you're waiting too long for a cup of coffee or something. You think, oh, how can I infiltrate? Who can I knock out to get this disguise? Do they know who I am? Can I use the Hitman voice?
I do get recognized a bit over here, both physically because of there's not many bold English-speaking actors in Copenhagen, but it's normally the sound of my voice. Even if I'm speaking Danish, people kind of go, "Oh, I know! Oh my goodness!" It's But it's funnier when it's in England or in America. And then I remember standing in a queue for an iPhone in the Apple Store on Fifth Avenue on the corner of opposite the Waldorf Astoria or something. And we're on the lower level, so there was no quick kind of exit. And it's basically, a lot of these Apple people are probably very nerdy computer people, and there were a few Hitman fans in there. So when I was standing in this long queue going, oh, for crying out loud, oh, come on, I haven't got all day. It's just, and I said to someone in the queue, it was, what time's the store close? And that's when I saw the attendant, who was, I'm about 4 deep back in the queue. He just looked up. I went, and then they all just stopped, and then he said, and they just asked me straight out,
Yeah.
uh,
Really?
are
Yeah.
you who I think you are? Which I thought was quite a fun way of saying it.
Yeah.
I went, yeah, I am.
That is awesome.
But that changed things, But it backfired a bit there, because I actually then definitely couldn't get out of the building.
They just wanted to talk to you like this
Yeah.
and interview the whole day. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning something earlier, David, and talking about upcoming projects and things that you're going to be doing. So I remember reading the article on Kotaku when IO Interactive announced that they were going to be doing this 007 project, an original James Bond story. Yeah. And you were doing an interview, I forget the gentleman's name, but you were doing an interview, and towards the end of the interview, when y'all were talking about this, the interviewer was saying, "Oh, we got to petition IO to make sure David becomes the villain of this next project and all of that." Has IO talked to you at all about this upcoming project or anything like that?
No, not yet. But yeah, I here's the thing, and I've said that in interviews, but I totally respect their creative decisions on a new franchise. Just don't hire the bald guy, for crying out loud, so I have no expectations or any hope, really, but it's been mooted quite a lot on Twitter and other places that that would be so cool, having him. You got to make him a villain, or make him an elusive target or something, that could be a lot of fun. And I remember when they first announced it, I had no idea. I knew, I said, "Hey guys, you opened up a building in Malmö, in Sweden. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. What's going on?" Nothing. I went, okay. So I was just as surprised as anyone else. And my actual sort of congratulations thing was, I sent a tape. Fuck, what's a tape? I recorded a message of Sean Connery going, "Congratulations," and
that's awesome.
Like to wish you all the best. So just for fun. And actually he just died, so it wasn't possible. But no, they will do what they need to do, and I will just have to suck it up.
Talking about upcoming projects as well, and this is a question that I wanted to ask before too. It's interesting because you hear it all the time in American culture, especially with American actors who have played like a Jonah Hill character, who's played, or a Seth Rogen or Will Ferrell, who get almost pigeonholed into playing these comedic roles. But you have done such an incredible job of not only doing acting across various mediums, but just the work that you do, whether it's playing a contract assassin or being in a Terrence McNally production. The range that you've been able to do and the projects you've been able to put under your belt is really impressive. And so have you ever felt that, because of your role as Agent 47, that you are approached to do similar work, or have you not really done any projects similar to that?
For many years, if I touched anything to do with film or even TV, I was quite often associated as a villain. I was a rapist, and I was a mafia, or a Russian mafia hitman. I played that before. And just kind of bad people. It's not going to end well. My kids cannot see this film. Why not? Because I say so. But that's loosened up over the years. I think I'm kind of just growing into a mature look or something. I don't know. But I've got 3 different things coming up. All going to come out this year. But the most fun thing was obviously, here's the thing. As an English-speaking actor in Denmark, there aren't many decent acting roles in film or TV. It's starting to change as HBO Nordic is going, and,
Yeah.
and Netflix it's loosening up. But I've just completed shooting about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, something like that. A Danish TV series called The Orchestra, which is a 10 episode series based on the life and times of the Danish Symphony Orchestra, in which I'm brought into the series as a very flamboyant, gay orchestra, famous what do you call it, conductor.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, this will be fun. And of course, I'm playing in English, and people around me are having to speak to me in English because I'm this maestro. They've managed to be so fortunate to get to come take over the orchestra. But and the series is a comedy. I went, okay, that's 2 good points there. But then what was even more fun was playing against assumptions about what I was supposed to be like. Just playing a gay person, did they expect something flamboyant or outrageous or colorful or something in any way? And here's the thing. The first sentence the director said to me on set, he said, "Oh, David, nice to finally meet you. You'd only seen screen tests." And he said, "Thank God you played it the way you did in the screen test." And I went, "What do you mean?" He said, I was really shocked. I was really disappointed. So many of the tapes I got were actors playing it sort of flamboyant and colorful and just not real." And I looked at him and said, "Really? Wow. I just see a guy who's married to an Oriental guy. They've been married for 14 years. It's a relationship, and I don't see anything that's like that." And here's the other aspect to this is that the character is a bit of an asshole in the sense that he knows what he wants, and he rules the roost like a dictator and sort of fires people at random, and which starts to scare the crap out of the other executives behind the scene, because they're going, "Oh no, he's going to ruin our budget if he fires one more musician. Oh no." But so he actually ends up being not a likable person, but the comedy of that kind of a character is that he has to be real. You just have to go. So I hadn't seen any of that. So I'm looking really forward to seeing how they edit it together and how it's going to look in the end. And that'll come out, I guess, in only about September. It'll be after the summer. So those are things that's fun, and then 2 other things smaller. I love just doing stuff that's it makes me curious.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys do it. Probably comes across as a stalker, but or as the hitman sort of casing a joint. I like looking at people and just going, oh, look at the walk, look at the way that guy's walking. He thinks he's walking totally normally, but that looks so weird from here. And then okay, he's got a crooked hip. Was that a car accident, or what was that like when he was a child? Was he bullied? Look, and you can see the lines on this person's face, and you're going, he's carrying a burden there. I don't know. I'm making those assumptions and find it just curious and very interesting.
That's super fascinating. I'm sure that helps with the acting process and getting into character. And also, it also actually reminds me of the Hitman process of just kind of when you're in these kind of open, like Sapiens or other environments where you're kind of seeing the world and kind of following different characters, listening into different conversations. But yeah, I'm super glad to hear that you have these opportunities to play these nuanced characters and explore so many different aspects of acting throughout these different mediums. I did want to ask you about another game that you were in recently, and that's Light Matter, which for those who have not experienced this game, I would say that the closest comparison that people would know immediately is close to Portal. I would say in a sense that it's kind of a first person puzzle game. I got this game and I was just absolutely. And I actually got it before we knew about the interview, before any of this stuff, and I was super excited. And I remember just hearing you in the game because you act as the kind of you're the voice of the game.
Virgil.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Virgil. And so for those who haven't played it, I encourage you to check it out. The idea is playing with light and shadow. Essentially, shadows kill you, and you have to make sure to stay in the light. And what was that experience like? How did you get connected to the developers there?
Yeah, these are young guys. They're all in the late 20s, and they live in another city in Denmark called Aalborg, which is the northernmost city on the mainland of Jutland. And they called me. They've been working on this project since they were students.
Wow.
So about 6-7 years. And this thing, it just kept coming back. And people say, hey, you should go with this. You should, come on, get it done. And they called me up and said, listen, there's basically one character. And I think you'd be perfect. And I went, I know what this is about, guys. I can sell it because I'm Agent 47.
Yeah.
I understand why you're calling me. But when I read the script, now back to what I was talking about earlier, that script blew me away. It had all those Agent 47 kind of stuff that, came into the game over the years. It had all this, dark humor and wicked, and this character keeps changing. He's totally psychopath almost. He goes to being your friend and to being distrustful of you, and then
it must have been awesome to act in that way.
Cool.
Must have been great. Yeah.
Last night, good timing with this interview, by the way. Last night was the Danish Computer Game Awards, and obviously it was heavily nominated. And it won Best Debut Game, but I just thought, I'm a member of BAFTA and I see a lot of games to vote for them, and I just got reminded again, oh man, what a wonderful world of fantasy computer games are, because anything is possible, and I love that. I just think, oh, I want to fly. Oh, I can fly. I'm an avatar. Yay!
And when you get approached for a project like that, I mean, I'd imagine there's a lot of people in the game industry that if they had their opportunity and said, how crazy would it be if I could get David Bateson to play this character? When they sent it to you, I mean, them being in their 20s, was there any hesitation? I'm sure there was hesitation on both parts, potentially, just not knowing what would be.
Well, I have said no to quite a few because the scripts aren't good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you know what? I'm not going to blow this just because, they're throwing some cash at me.
Yeah.
No. I have enough work as a voiceover artist every single day of my life.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my sound studio right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I live here basically.
Yeah.
But no, so I don't need. But I'm up. These guys, I didn't know them, and I didn't know any track record. But when I read the script, I was just and then for me, it's the idea, which just goes back to your childhood, that everyone is afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
And just add this extra element going, oh, the dark will eat you. It will kill you. Oh my goodness. And I'm going, I'm there. You've got me on the premise right there.
Yeah.
I'm run away from the shadows, whatever you do. So that simple idea as a hook for your imagination, together with a good script, I didn't even have to read it, finish reading. I did, but I knew straight away. I'm doing this. I'm doing it.
That's awesome.
But anyone out there, I'm up for it, but it better be good.
Yeah. No, that's super cool to hear. And we have a related question that came in the Twitch chat about how much of these games do you play? I'm curious for Light Matter, for Hitman, you yourself, your family members. How?
Well,
yeah.
I have a bad confession.
Yeah.
My two older daughters, played Hitman for years.
Yeah.
Okay, now they're 19 and 16, and my third daughter's 10. but she doesn't play it.
Yeah.
But the others have played it since they were like too young.
Yeah, my son. I admitted that to you before we went live. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to hell for this.
Yeah.
But listen, trust me, when
Yeah.
it's your own daughter and she goes, "Hey, Dad, it's so cool hearing your voice in my headphones as I'm strangling this Zytkow." I'm going to hell. You know, this is
You don't
not
know what
good.
motions to feel. Pride.
It's
Yeah.
all wrong. This
Yeah.
is what I gave.
Yeah.
You tell anyone, you know. So yeah, it's a bit questionable. You know, how old are you? Over 15.
Yeah.
So, but apart from that, yeah, they see me do stuff, and my voice comes in, you know, pops in all over the place. You know, so if I get it to do some dubbing or with Lars von Trier films, you know, which is kind of very classy, but his films can be pretty graphic and disgusting.
Yeah.
Or a cartoon film where I'm playing a shark. And,
Yeah.
you know, that I mentioned earlier that Alan Rickman is playing the pilot fish. I'm playing the shark, and he was the brains, and then we swaps around. You know, the shark's got the pilot fish who looks after him, so he is the top of the food chain, and then we get some magic potions swimming in the water, and then it turns around. He becomes the rocket scientist, and I turn into a stupid Australian shark. You know, so you know, so my kids are pretty used to hearing me mess around in characters. Right now, I got a really sad confession. There is a pigeon outside my kitchen window, and for the last month, I've given him a name, Archibald, and I go out with food to this pigeon, and I talk to the pigeon, and he talks back to me.
Can we hear what Archibald sounds like?
Well, I'm a bit confused. I'm a bit embarrassed. Actually.
Is it really? I just am imagining David Bateson sitting there, like with a cigarette, like looking outside the window and talking back and forth.
It's so sick. I mean, really. But what I like to make inanimate objects, you know, real.
Yeah.
You know, and I have no. I mean, really, it's sad. I don't know. I have a palm tree called George. I mean.
Yeah.
George and I go way back.
It sounds like the creative process, though. Like you said, I mean, like thinking about.
It's cool. You should see me in the park when I'm walking my dog. You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes I get into a riff with myself, going,
Yeah.
"Hey, Dave, how was your day?" Well, and then I'm playing myself both characters, and again, no, that's not right. One of them to be different, and then I'll make the one stupid and the other one high status, and I'll just see where this conversation goes. You know. And I think, oh, that was good. That some really good stuff came out there. And I come home and I've forgotten it all. You know, I think, damn, I could use that for stand-up or something. Not that I've done stand-up, but you know, I should write this down or I should record it, and I never do. So,
that definitely must keep you fresh.
I'm the nutter in the park. If you know, the guy mumbling to himself, and it's not because I'm talking. You know, that's the thing. You can do it nowadays because everyone's got an earpiece and they're going, "Yes, I said to him," you know, and it's me without anything in my ears, just going, "Yeah."
I can just imagine the park people on benches are like, "Is that Agent 47 talking to the pigeons over there?"
Well, the thing is, okay, that's my sad secret at home outside in my garden. But when I'm in the park, that does happen when I'm also learning lines, you know, and I need to get them to hear them. For me, I need to be on my feet, which I'm walking a dog, and I need to say them out loud. Otherwise, they just stay in your head. You know, you're just going, "Do I know this line? Well, I don't know. Say it out loud." So yeah, and then some people recognize other as Agent 47. They go, "Oh, that's that English actor. What's his name?" Not many of us, so, as I said. And then they kind of go, "Oh, he's working. We won't disturb him." Good. But sometimes my work is me mumbling to myself and having a full-blown conversation as two different characters who are just coming out of my head. I'm going, "This is so sad."
I mean, I think it's incredible. I mean, it's
awesome.
it's really interesting to get a glimpse into the artistic.
I've never said this out loud before. I'm going to have to destroy the internet.
No, you know, I think to me, you know, I feel like getting a chance to meet you, like I told you at 14, hearing your voice when I first played Hitman.
I've really screwed you up now.
Yeah, but it's just super exciting how down to earth and passionate you are about this. I think everybody listening, watching this, live or in the future, I think that I hope the biggest thing they can appreciate and take away is how seriously you take this. All of this. I mean, you're talking about like from everything from like the analogy to the Frankenstein nature of Hitman, trying to find some humanity there, to just workshopping voices and characters. It's absolutely abundantly clear that you love what you're doing, and you're bringing your full self, and you're having fun with it.
I was driving my car yesterday, and I had a great conversation with myself, just because it just suddenly hit me. I thought that'd have been so funny when Marlon Brando was playing Don Corleone, the Godfather boss, and he's got these things in his cheeks, and he's going, I invite you to my house, and he's doing all that. And the thing is, no one can understand what the fuck he's saying. Yeah. And I just thought, I started this conversation. I'm driving a car now. I mean, this is just crazy. I'm alone, but I'm just thought, and I took that scene where, from the wedding, and then the guys come back and said, "Just now, I need to ask a favor." And he's going, "I invite you to my house. You shall not pizza." And I would love the other characters to be sort of like very British, going, "I'm sorry, I can't, would you mind repeating that, please?" And again, okay. Just the idea that all that status of like, everyone does what I say, but then you take another nationality, going, "I'm terribly sorry. I've no idea what you're saying."
This needs to be, let's get HBO Nordic on this. This needs to be a show right here. David Bateson, a one-person show where you just talk to yourself, do different characters, just this. I wanted to see more of this, for sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll record these conversations, just put them out there and going, I'll probably get arrested if I do that.
Just the podcast of you talking, like doing different characters. But it honestly seems like, I know you jokingly say it's kind of wacky, but it makes complete sense. I mean, your voice, this is your work, to be able to hear it out loud, to be able to go back and forth. It just seems like a workout, I guess, like training in some ways to keep yourself fresh, like, in so many different ways.
I just worked on a feature film where I got to voice all the characters.
Really?
Was a Danish film director. He won an Oscar 9 or 11 years ago for The Tenant. His first short live action feature, and he's a friend of mine. Joachim Bach is his name. Check him out. B-A-C-H. Anyway, was it B-A-C-K? No.
We'll look him both up.
Yeah, look him up. No, he shot this fantastic film. I've seen the first rough cut last week. And in Vancouver, or just outside Vancouver. And it was a really weird film. It's called Corner Office. It's now out on IMDb. It's been a kind of a secret project for now. And I was amazed he got it shot under COVID restrictions. Starring John Hamm from Mad Men.
Yeah.
And he phoned me up and said, "Hey, Dave, would you come around and just read the script out loud? And so I can just hear it before I fly over to Vancouver, and I can do 2 weeks in a log cabin, self-isolating, going, oh my goodness, and then go straight down. And we did that for like three sessions, and I would just make notes, and I'd write down the notes, and then I'd type it up and send it back to him. And he said, this has been amazingly useful for me. I went, great. It was my total pleasure playing, 15 different characters. So he flies over, and he's sitting in his log cabin outside Vancouver in the hills, and he's having all these meetings, getting ready for the shoot. The crew are there, the actors are coming in, everyone's isolating. And I get this call in the middle of the night. He said, "David, listen, would you record the whole film?" And I went,
"Wow,
yeah." He said, "But you got to just do it in the same characters, the voices you're doing. I know the actors have come in with their voices, but I need to. I just want to hear the whole thing. You playing all the characters with just just give the names of the character and brief, where there's something written. They will go up in the elevator to the 3rd floor. You need to say a few of these things and then go back into character. Anyway, I went, yeah, I'd love to do that. Well, that took me like 15, 18 hours for a 90-minute film, because I just wanted to, editing it together. It had to be to get the timing and the rhythm and stuff. But I had a blast.
Were
got
other
to
people
talk
helping you with the editing?
for 18 hours,
That's amazing.
And it was so useful for him. Is the point of all this, that obviously the actors are going to say it completely differently, but it gave him, before the day's shoot, it just gave him a sense of, okay, in this sequence, these are the emotions. This is the kind of journey where we're going in this sequence. That's what I'm going to focus on, because then real people come in, and obviously on set, and you can get lost in all the practical stuff of setting up shots and stuff. And so that was a lot of fun. So check out that movie when it comes out.
It's really cool.
Really off the wall film.
For those processes, like, are you like working with, how much, like, I guess other people are you working with to go over lines, to do the editing? I mean, you have your home studio there. How much I guess have you picked on yourself in terms of the editing process and
what for that particular job?
In general, I guess for that one, I guess yeah.
Well, for that one, it's in a way it's the same with everything. COVID is, everyone's been under lockdown, as you guys have experienced it, as the whole planet has. But as of doing voice work, you're in kind of self-isolation all the time. Especially as technology has changed the voice acting business quite substantially. Now, I mean, I have a London agent, and it's all set up either through Source Link or Source Connect to their studio in Soho, and then out to the client wherever that client is on the planet.
That's amazing.
And we're all on the same page, and everything's clear. But I'm actually alone. I'm back in my little box.
Wow.
So I obviously I miss people. Hanging out, going to the studio and going, a cafe latte, please. And talking to a technician and getting to know the clients and stuff and what they want. But that's that. So in a way, not much has changed, because it's always been a kind of lonely experience. And if I'm not talking to someone, if I just get the job offline, then I will just, again, back to what I said earlier, I will make decisions. I will ask for as much information as possible. Can I see the movie, the corporate film? Mainly, can I hear the music? What sounded? And then I will give it 2 or 3 versions, which is 3 times too much work. But they need to see where it could be done very differently. And I'll put my first version first. This is the way I think it should go, and then bounce it out there, and then they will come back with, could you do it a bit quicker, or could you be a bit darker there, and then it takes a lot of retakes. So there's the recording process as a voice actor is me making a decision if I'm alone, and just going with it and editing it and trying to use my own talent with the voice, with the music and the picture. Otherwise, it's I hear voices, and we work together on it, a lifetime.
That is really awesome to hear. Yeah, thanks for providing that insight into it, because the fact that you're able to the fact that we're able to talk across the ocean, and the fact that we're all able to connect in this way, it's truly remarkable. It's something I find myself nonstop thinking about. It is incredible. Incredible. Well, I know we've held you for a long time. I do have one more question. I don't know if Johnny has another one, but we have one from the audience that is in line with one of my final questions. We have someone in the chat who's interested in getting into voice acting, and they're asking, how they should start, where they should look for work, building their portfolio. Any general advice that you could provide for those who want to be the next David Bateson?
Oh yeah, hey, don't steal my work.
Yes.
Generally speaking, voice actors, by the way, in my experience, are extremely generous people. I'm not one of them. No, a lot of very open and trying to help other people. Quite a fun exercise to do. Obviously, the equipment needs to be bought, but and get the right space and so on. So it's soundproof and so on. But what I think is a fun exercise, and I've said to other people to do this before, is take a magazine and flip into the magazine. If there's a piece of serious journalism, try reading up 30 seconds of that as you think it should sound, with all this, today in Delhi, 200,000 people have been, have become ill with COVID, blah, blah, blah. And oxygen is running out and the UN is blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And obviously that tone is extremely serious because of the nature of the story. And then you can turn the page and there can be a whole, a picture version of Levi jeans, and all you need to do is just read the words on that Levi commercial, and you'll get about maybe 15 words, and just commit to it without sound, but or play some music you think might give it a nice jingle sound to it, and just record that. And it's just it's playing with the idea or reading of some dialogue in a novel, and just playing both characters. We don't have to walk in the park talking to yourself. The idea being, you need to hear your own voice from the outside, and it helps you to become kind of objective. You go, why am I talking? For example, most people talk actually a little higher than their natural register, but you don't realize that until you hear yourself recorded and you're going, I sound like a chipmunk. What's going on? I don't talk like that.
That's what's going to happen after this video when I rewatch myself. I'm going to be like, man, I thought I had a lot more bass in my voice.
This deep timbre.
I have to add a little to it.
Those kind of exercises, I genuinely believe are useful, because it's like a muscle, and it flexes you up. It makes you a bit more agile, and then hopefully more accessible to sort of taking direction, because I've seen, unfortunately, quite a few people just sounding exactly the same, and it may sound fantastic, but it's not. It's not right for every kind of job. And you're thinking, they're just limiting themselves. They need to push yourself into a place where you've never been, voice-wise. In terms of, getting an agent, well, now it's all, there's online bureaus out there, and you can audition 50 times a day. Oh, wow. And I find that really sucks, to be honest. And it pisses me off, to be honest, if I find out that they've taken too much commission, or the same job is advertised on 2 different sites, and one's for $800 and the other one's for $250. And again, it's not very transparent. Where's all that money gone? Yeah. So I don't like being screwed over. So I tend to avoid them.
Appreciate that advice there for our viewers. And
I know you got to start somewhere, and so maybe it is going to, I won't even name names, but it's a different world to when I started out. I started out in radio theater, so kissing my hand, I love you. What?
How long were you doing that actually before you did Agent 47?
I was 19. I was when I was at university in South Africa. My mom said, "Hey, go down. Why didn't you go down to the radio station? They do radio drama." This is a country, South Africa, which didn't get TV until 1976.
Oh, wow.
and then it was poo, you know. So 3 years later, it was definitely crap TV, and people really listened to the radio theater, radio drama, which you guys did back in the 50s or something, you know.
Yeah.
So that's when I just went down and auditioned, and they went, "Hey, thank goodness, we need a Juve sounding guy go, hi, I've come to take Carol out," you know, and sound like a, hi. Playing those kind of parts. I don't know. So
that's incredible to see the connection there, and I mean all of this, the thread through your story. It's amazing, yeah, to see that trajectory.
I would just say this, just to end off by saying, listen, there are a squadzillion more opportunities now than there were back then.
Yeah,
you know, there was radio, and that was, you know, of course there were cartoon films going on, but then you had to have a Hollywood agent, and you know, you were in the top league. You would never get access to that kind of stuff. Now, it's because of, you know, social media. It's endless, the kind of voice work that's available out there. So it's more accessible.
Absolutely.
And together with your own home studio, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, David, again, thank you so much for taking the time today and sitting down with us, and chatting with us. You know, we really, really appreciate not only the insight into your work on Hitman, but chatting about all these other different things that you've done throughout your career. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here today.
My total pleasure, guys.
This has really been an honor, and we're going to keep the tradition going. And anywhere, wherever you are out in the world right now, everybody clap it up for Mr. David Bateson, Agent 47 himself. We really appreciate it.
There is a chance. My sister lives in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, really? Just down the road from Charlotte.
Exactly. So that when I can fly and get out there, I definitely want to swing by my sister in Atlanta. Lives in, I think, Duluth, just north of Atlanta.
That's awesome. Well, if you happen to be in Charlotte, let us know.
You never know.
Yeah, we would love to see you.
Hey. Cool, man.
It's truly been an honor. As I said, a fan since 14, 34 now. It's crazy to think how time flies and how much you've played a role in all of our lives, and truly one of the most iconic game characters. So thank you, David. Really appreciate you. You're just the coolest dude, honestly. That's, I think, the best way to end this. It's just, honestly, you're just like
a pigeon. I'm not cool at all.
No, you really are. You know, like, the fun thing about this is we never know. You know, it's like, man, hopefully David Bateson's not an asshole. You know what I mean? And it's like, you really are the coolest guy. We've been getting messages about how awesome you are, and just so many people saying thank you. So we really, I'm just blown away. Appreciate you so much.
Thanks, guys. You made it a really cool interview. So it was a lot of fun doing.
Awesome.
Trust me, some of them don't go anywhere near as good as this.
Good. That makes us feel great. That really makes us feel great.
Counting down the seconds. You go, oh, no. No, thanks, guys. Thanks a lot, eh?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, David.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it so much, and we'll see you all in the next show. Thank you.